everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Card City Nights, not to be confused with the very similar named Bob Seger song. This is a trading card, collectible card game kind of style or aesthetic when it comes to a game, but it's more of a puzzle game, not necessarily a match 3, but kind of similar mechanically. It's a little bit difficult to explain outside of the context of an actual match, so why don't I just go to a match here and I'll give you an idea of what's going on. This is currently available. Full price is going to be $4 on Steam, but it is $2 for its opening week sale, and I believe it's ported over, or at least is also concurrently released on iOS and maybe Android devices, but it is not, rife with in-app purchases. That's one of the things they advertise on the website. No in-app purchases whatsoever. So let's have a fairly easy game to get started here. It takes kind of the same kind of narrative style as almost like a Pokemon or something like that, where we have to collect a certain amount of legendary cards, and then once we get the legendary cards, we go fight the big boss at the end of the game, but I haven't even gotten close to that. By the way, this is published by Ludosity, who are the same developers who made It'll Do. I didn't play that, but I understood that a lot of people that I respect the opinions of liked it a great deal, so a lot of the characters that you see here may actually look familiar to you. We are Card Playa. That's the name they gave me right off the bat, so I don't want to hear any guff over that. I decided to go with what the game decided to give me. So, the game is, again, less of a collectible card game and more of a puzzle game, at least in the 45 minutes to an hour that I've played so far. I'll explain very briefly before I start playing how things actually work. Every card has some arrows on it. This indicates the kind of directions with which it can make a match, and your goal is to get 3 cards to match each other through either like a direct line or a serpentine path, etc., etc. So if we put the stick here, for example, in the top right corner, it can match something, and in the bottom left corner, it can match something, but only if another arrow is pointing in that direction. So what we could do is place something like Mildegrad here, and if we place her in the middle, you'll see this arrow in the top right will be pointing up. Then we could put the stick up in this corner, and the bottom left one will match up with this one, and then you'll have 2 in a row that are matched. So why don't we actually put Mildegrad down here, just so that we can push the stick up further in the other direction. Now, there are multiple different kinds of cards as well, so I'll place a stick here just so you can see what's going on, and you can see those green arrows indicate that there is a match going on there. Things are going to move pretty quickly, so I'm going to try to do my best to explain it as we go here. Again, our goal is to create 3 or more cards that match, and what you do after those cards match, or what happens after those cards match, is indicated by the card type. So these ones have a sword on them. Those are attack cards. We can use those if we match 3, and at least 2 of them, or at least one of them is an attack type, depending on the other types that we have in there. We can then do damage either to some of the enemy cards, and we can disable those, or we could do damage directly to the enemy's defense. This is like their HP. If this falls to 0, we win. We also win if they can't place a card on the board, so if they fill up their board and don't get any matches and then can't play another card on their turn, they lose. So those are the 2 ways basically we win, either kind of like a war of attrition or by getting them all the way whittled down. So on this turn, I guess I'll talk about the other card types as well. The blue shield is defense. The green kind of medical signs allow you to revive cards of yours that have actually been killed. Otherwise, they just pull the cards that you already have off the table, which is kind of not great. And to be honest with you, I'm not totally sure what the yellow ones do. I think they might give you coins that you can use to buy things a little bit later. But just out of convenience, we are going to use the yellow one here. This should allow us to get an attack done, yes. Why do we get to attack? We get to attack because we have 2 swords and only 1 yellow circle. So this means that the swords are the dominant type, so we could either kill one of the enemy cards, or we could do 2 damage to the enemy directly, which is what we are going to do. So this is going to take the kind of form of a best of 3, essentially. I'm going to put another card here, and I'm going to focus primarily on just attacking the enemy. And I'll try to narrate exactly what happens as time goes on. So he had a defensive match there, which allowed him to get a few more HP, essentially. I'm going to put a drone up here, and then we'll have a match. And then there's a lot of possible opportunities, because remember, I don't have to match all of them at every single vertex, you know? I just need to create one chain. So if I put like this down here, I believe that this should create an attack that I can do. Yes, we can also do a revive if we wanted to, but there's no point. That would just remove our cards from the board because we have nothing to revive. So instead, we'll do 2 damage over here. But he continually is using defensive matches, so it's going to be fairly difficult to take him out. Additionally, there are some cards that have kind of effects as soon as they come out. So we can see this portal wand, when we place it, it says placement, +1 defense to owner. So if we just place this, we'll go up to 8 defense. There are also cards that have combos with other ones. For example, I have DJ here. He got 1 defense from his placement of that Diglett as well. If you play DJ, it says combo together with AG and you get +1 defensive gain. We don't have AG in our deck. There is some deck building components to this that you'll see as after we finish this kind of match that we're fighting here. So I'm going to ignore that for now, but also there's ones that, there's rotation that happens in the game as well. So some of your cards allow you to rotate your own cards or the enemy cards in order to kind of move those all-important arrows away from places where they can make extremely valuable matches, if that makes sense. For now, I'm just going to try to do some more attacking. It's fairly likely there's a rotation card. That's going to rotate every single turn upside down. It's fairly likely that if my experience going against this opponent proves to be accurate, he is just going to overdraw himself. And this does have kind of like a Hearthstone-style attrition mechanic. So once he draws all 11 cards, every turn he'll take +1 damage for not being able to draw a card. And that stacks up. So on the first turn, he takes 1 damage. On the second turn that he can't draw, he takes 2 damage, and so on and so forth. So we're probably just going to end up doing like a War of Attrition with this guy to knock him out of the running here. Because he has so many defensive cards that it's going to be very difficult for me to actually take him out. I think, yeah, we'll get 2 extra HP there. Because we've been hit, so we can actually, you know, redeem a little bit of health. And we're going to go lower on health than he is probably, but I still think we're going to win just because he's going to overdraw. You're allowed to have anywhere between 25 and 40 cards in your deck. I have 40, but I should probably trim some of the fat so that I have a little bit more concentration of good cards. Let's play Turnip, because Turnip's an interesting card. Every turn, this is going to rotate upside down. So it doesn't rotate like 90 degrees, and the arrows on it don't rotate. It rotates 180 degrees fully upside down. So there might be a way that I can actually make this work. I'm trying to think. In conjunction with the flop, which also rotates 180 degrees every single turn. I think the way we might want to do this is something like this. So if I play it like that, oh, it took them both off the board. I'll admit that I have had a little bit more of a difficult time kind of parsing the mechanics, and that was a very good segue for that, than I have in a lot of other card games that I've played in recent memory. You know, this is not a Hearthstone, this is not an Infinity Wars or something like that. What this is a, I think we're going to put this over here. We should be able to get an attack in with this drone. What this is essentially a variation on kind of a match 3 puzzle game with a deck building aspect built into it as well, which is kind of cool, and I love the fact that it's, you know, very, very cheap. And I kind of like the mechanics, but it is, despite being cheap and seemingly accessible, I think it does have more of a learning curve than you might initially think just by looking at it. And that's fine, you know, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just if I get any of the mechanical things wrong in my explanation or in my play here, I apologize, because it's a deceptively deep game, might be a polite way to put it, and not necessarily an inaccurate way to put it either. So, again, we're basically just going to draw this guy out here. What's really neat is that, you know, you fight multiple different kinds of opponents over the course of the game. A lot of them, or all of them that I've played so far, seem to have like really unique personalities, which is something that you don't see a lot of in games like this. It almost reminds me of a game that I played ages ago called Sequence, which was a port of an Xbox Live indie game. Oh yeah, we're going to be able to do some damage again. A port of an Xbox Live indie game that was kind of like a rhythm game with boss fights associated with it, and all the bosses had kind of like a unique mechanic that they brought to the table. Everybody that I've fought so far in Card City Nights has been different. This guy is much more of a defensive battle, and you'll see him start to take attrition here. It's like it is like a war of attrition. But the guy that we're going to fight next after this, he plays totally differently. He's more of like a tricky character, and then if we ever get to the boss in this area, you will see that I will probably A, get stomped, but B, there's going to be a whole different kind of style that he has as well. So he's starting to take massive attrition points here. Why don't we... I mean, basically at this point, we're just kind of running the clock out on this guy. We can put Pink Man here, and we've got some matches in there, but we don't have a Serpentine, like, 3 match yet. So basically, we're just kind of waiting here. Ooh, we actually did a lot of damage there at the end, but it doesn't really matter. There's no more... I don't think there's any matches that I can make here. Might as well just put the Manicorn down there, and the attrition will kill him. So that reduces his health to 0. This is a best of 3, but I don't want to go through a war of attrition again. So instead, I'm just going to quit, and we'll play somebody else so you can get kind of a feel for how the different personalities come through. But first, why don't we go to the deck building aspect? Whenever it comes to games like this, especially like trading card games, I find it hard to conceptualize in my brain what makes a good deck and what makes a bad deck. So I haven't really made much use of the deck building aspect of the game. Every once in a while, when it tells me I have too many cards, I take out cards that I don't really like. Like, I don't think DJ's very good because I don't have the pair card there, and instead we can put in maybe another Turnip card, which will give us more attack, which might be useful against the next enemy that we're fighting. But this is why I preferred things like Arena Mode in Hearthstone, because, you know, even though people were really anal when you accidentally constructed a deck that they didn't feel was traditionally great, at least everyone's kind of on the same level playing field where you only have 3 different cards to choose from, so all of the decks kind of, you can't really have something in mind when you go into it. Whereas with this, it's much more of like a constructed type style, which doesn't necessarily resonate with me as much just because I'm not very good at deck building. But if you're the kind of person who's into deck building, I don't think the deck building interface is particularly fantastic. Like, there's no sort options or anything here that would make it easier to, like, sort by, card type or sort by whether or not they have a placement effect or sort by rotation or something like that. But so be it, basically, right? So why don't we, what are some cards that I don't really like in my deck? I don't really like Manicorn. Maybe we'll go with like an Ice Wand instead. I don't really like, actually I like Pinkman a lot because there's so many different like arrows that he can connect with. I don't really like having 3 Titans. Maybe we could replace one of those Titans with a Fishbun's pretty bad. Again, you might recognize some of these characters from It'll Do. I just got it. I just said it in my brain right now. I always thought it was just like a play on words with Little Do, which isn't even a play on words at all. But now I get it. It'll do. All right. This has been realizing you're the slow kid in the class with Northernlion. Why don't we put in placement? Rotate a random opponent card. That seems like it could be fairly useful. Whatever. It's very small. Oh, wait. You know what? I'm totally wrong, aren't I? There are sorting aspects. Never mind. I am an idiot. This is actually so much better. I just realized that. That's me realizing again that I have not done my due diligence. Whatever. I take that back when it comes to sort options. I'm a dumb dinglehorn. Let's fight the magical fox now. Oh, he won't let me fight him because I've already beaten him. Okay, let's fight the boss then. The reason that you can't fight people multiple times in some situations is because they give you unique booster packs. When you beat somebody, they typically give you coins and a booster pack. That booster pack containing some cards of, increasing rarity, I guess, the more difficult enemies you fight. So I guess you can't just farm those booster packs over and over. But that's kind of unfortunate because I'm going to get my ass kicked by this guy. And this is a best of 5, so, normally I would say, get a snack and get a drink or something because this could take a while, but he usually beats me 3-1, so... basically, he's really, really heavy on the attack. So I've either got to be faster on the attack than he is, or I've got to be, basically luckier. So I think we're going to place a drone down here, and then I can place the turnip, and it doesn't look like the turnip's actually going to connect, but the reason it will connect is because of the rotation, I think. So if we put the turnip down here, it'll rotate into where I want it to be, I think. So let's put this down here, and on the next turn, we should be able to make a match with the robot elf. Or actually with Mildegrad here. That'll be a 3 attack, which is actually really useful. So we could try to go for the War of Attrition and maybe attack his attack cards themselves. The reason he's such a pain in the ass is because he has so many cards that are either like placement, deal 1 damage, or +1 attack damage, which means if he matches 3 swords together, it's actually not going to be 3 damage, it'll be 4 instead. So, it might be a good idea to take out that card, but I don't want to use 3 cards to take out 1 card, but as you can see, this puts us in kind of a difficult position here. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get many matches soon, so I'm going to put my defensive wand down and maybe get a little bit of extra defense. And maybe we'll focus on making some defensive plays here so that hopefully I can outlast him a little bit. If I end up winning on a War of Attrition, hey, that feels pretty good too. See, there's another +1 attack damage card. Can we place we can't place our Titan anywhere that would do anything. So this should give me 2 extra defense. So we'll keep stacking that up a little bit, but as you can see, he basically has, like, exclusively attacking cards. So that should do 4. It did indeed, but he also did 1 to himself. Why did he do 1 to himself? Because of the, one of his cards had a placement effect that hurt himself. Because, I guess that's the trade-off for him having such good cards otherwise. So we can do an attack here. It'll only do 1 damage. Yeah, I think we'll do 1 damage to him directly, because we might be able to get lucky. I have some cards that cause an instant damage to him. So if I can just get a little bit more damage done, that would be awesome. I think I'm going to put a stick down in the middle, because again, we only need to do 2 damage, maybe even 1 damage if we get very lucky. And then if we put this here, we should be able to make a match and actually maybe win our first game here, which is very surprising to me. So yeah, if we put like Robot Elf here, we should be able to do 2 damage, and that'll give us a win. So much to my surprise, we managed to take that one. As you can see, games in Card City Nights tend to happen pretty quickly, on the order of, maybe 4 to 5 minutes, as opposed to a 10 or 15 minute game in another, competing. Whether or not this is competing with something like Hearthstone is, I kind of put it more in the space of something like a 10 million or something like that. But, these games are cheap enough that they're not necessarily direct competition. At least I don't perceive them as direct competition to one another. But what do I know, right? We've got a really nice combo here between Mildegrad, the drone, and Mark. We can get them all to match up to one another here, and it gives us a lot of flexibility with where we want to, that only did 2 damage, which is great. It gives us a lot of flexibility with how we want to do this. I have 2 Mark cards now, so hopefully we'll be able to basically accomplish exactly the same thing again. He has, like, the turn initiative on me, but I am doing a little bit better right now, I think. And that's going to do 1 damage to him, so if we actually manage to get another attacking card that can match up here, we might be able to take our second round really easily. But we'll need to get a fairly lucky top deck here. Luckily, he didn't do any damage. I can finish a combo here, but I'd rather just wait and see if there's any way that I can get an attacking card as soon as possible. So we'll try to build, like, a second combo here. Maybe by putting, like, our Portal Wand down here, just gives us an extra defense, ensures we can live a little bit longer. Hopefully he doesn't get anything that... Oh, he totally did disable... God damn it. He disabled my, my middle card here, which is going to make it very difficult for me to actually create something beautiful. So instead, I'm going to try to revive that card, and maybe we'll be able to live, but he's got the upper hand on me, and that's how quick things can turn around here. Now, with Flop Flop, I should be able to get a rotation in, and that might actually cause me to lose my Fire Sword. It doesn't. And I can instead get this stick done, and we'll be able to do 2 damage to him, but it's not going to be enough, and he's got a pretty good chance... Oh, he's actually just going to gain 3 defense and kill me. I was going to say he has a pretty good chance to get this done here, so we're 1-1. I really like this kind of back and forth that happens in the game. I think Card City Nights, the more I play of it, the more it grows on me. I wasn't particularly fond of it when I first started playing, but that was largely because it just took me a while to realize, like, oh, this is not just like standard trading card game kind of style gameplay. This is much more puzzle-y, and, it requires a little bit more strategy. Not to say that those games don't require strategy. It requires different strategy is the way that I should phrase it. Because the first few times that I played, I just, like, stacked cards, basically, without worrying too much about the arrows, and oh shit, I'm dead, because I've filled up my board and I can't do anything. But once you get over that, it becomes oh, I didn't mean to place that there. I meant to place that, like, just below it. It becomes a much, kind of, more easy-to-digest experience, if you will. As you can see, the guy that we are playing here is super aggressive, but that's okay. I'm trying to think of how these rotations will work. If we put this here, this will rotate into the Cowman Rider on the next turn. So assuming I don't die, I should be able to at least make a combo. Unfortunately, I can't make a combo with the drone here, which sucks, but I can make one with Incredibly Ugly Statue, and we can choose what to do. I kind of want to attack, and I think it might be best to attack, like, Mark here and just knock him out. So he needs to be revived. This is just hopefully to, like, cripple his board a little bit so that he won't be able to do as much damage to me. Ideally, like, by taking his center square, obviously, you've played Tic-Tac-Toe before, that's going to make it very difficult for him to do what needs to be done. To make any matches at all. In fact, he's already caused himself to not be able to make a match here. So this is another level of strategy that I hadn't really considered before. This might actually be us taking the second match here because our turnip card is about to rotate. That'll give us 3 damage. We've made a match here. I don't understand. Maybe I'll put another card here just for safekeeping. Yeah, it's 4 damage actually. Okay, so we actually might be able to take this boss battle. Or mini-boss battle, at least, which would be awesome, because normally I get my butt kicked by this guy. So, we've had pretty much the same combination for, like, the whole game. Mildegrad, Drone, plus Stick works really well for us, but that was a really smart idea on my part, not to toot my own horn unnecessarily, but to attack that center card. He's gonna get a combo before I can do anything to him. To attack that center card before anything else. So, this turnip will give us 3 damage, so if he places a card in the center, that's not really a great card, so I'm instead just gonna go directly for the attack, I think. Do we not have, like, why, I was going to say, why don't we have 3 damage here? We should have 3 damage here. But I guess it lets you take your turn before it gives you the ability to actually do the damage to the enemy, which actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. We'll put our Fire Sword here. That'll do 1 damage to the enemy, and with 1 more combo, we could win. But this guy has a tendency to get a lot of very, very good cards, and get good cards very quickly as well. And with the Snake Body, if he combines that with his... or if he combines multiples of those, it's going to make it very difficult for me because each one of those that he connects will do an extra +1 attacking damage. So let's put our Cowman Rider down here. And if we get some more extra defense, that's awesome. Oh my god, I don't know what happened there, but I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of it. I think we'll put our stick here, and we will then be able to get a defensive combo next. Oh, he removed the stick. Okay, I think we'll put Titan here, and then we can make a match with our incredibly ugly statue card. And again, I would love to get some attacking done, but instead we just get healed up a little bit. That's fine too. And I really want to disable his center card. Thankfully, I actually did manage to get some extra health there. Otherwise, I would have found myself in a terrible position. I still might find myself in a terrible position, but at least for now, I'm gonna live for at least the near future. I don't know if I want to use Mr. Cluck or... Let's use Mr. Cluck in the middle, because it's such a good, like, connection card with all those arrows. So we'll put our Titan card here. And that gave me nothing. So clearly, I still have a lot to learn when it comes to the actual mechanics of the game. I'm pretty confident that on the next couple of turns or so, yeah, we'll be killed on this turn. So, you know, we put up a good fight in that match, but we ended up losing. And this is actually the most intense match that I've had in Card City Nights, to be honest with you. So we get to go first now. Again, Mark, Stick, Drone is like our ideal combo. Unfortunately, I messed up the placement there a little bit. Hopefully we'll draw like a Mildegrad. We did. So that will give us the ability with our Drone card to do 3 damage. Unfortunately, I would think about, you know, dealing that damage to his middle card, but it cannot be disabled. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait for him to finish this combo here and do 4 damage. Yeah, oh, it was only 3 damage, but he did do 2 damage to himself as well. So we actually might be able to sneak out an easy win here. All I need to do is finish 1 combo, and with the stick, I think that's going to make it very feasible. I think we're actually going to win this one. The drone will do it, I think. That's going to give us 3, and then we'll just be able to kill him, and I'm very surprised because I had never won that before. So we get 60 coins, which is like 6 times more than I've ever earned before, and a very valuable booster pack. So it does have that kind of addictive nature of like opening packs over and over. But I think that's going to do it for my Let's Look at Card City Nights. There is a little bit of a story going on here. You know, it's reasonably cute. Not the most engaging story I've ever seen in my entire life, but fun nonetheless. I like it. It's a bit of a hesitant like, because it is... I don't know, I went into it with expectations that were not what the game is maybe the way that I would describe it. It's not so much a trading card game in the same vein as something like a Hearthstone, which I brought up multiple times, in spite of the fact that they're not actually that similar. It's much, much more of a puzzle game, and if you're into that, that's super cool, and I think it's got that really neat kind of like building up Pokemon-style narrative going on where you feel like you're getting stronger and stronger all the time, and when you beat like a boss, you're like, oh, I couldn't have beaten that boss unless I got this great earlier card earlier on in the game. Neat collecting aspect. It's $2 to $4 depending on when you buy it, so I think that's really cool. And yeah, all in all, I don't think this will be making my, you know, best games of the year list, but I think it's a reasonably fun diversion nonetheless. As always, there will be a link to pick up the game in the video description below. That will be a link to the Steam store page, but I believe it's available on mobile devices as well, so you can research that for yourself if you're interested. I could definitely see this being a fun game to play, you know, on the bus, waiting for the bus, or, you know, while you're waiting in a doctor's office or something like that. And I don't mean that derisively. It's also a reasonably fun game to play while sitting down at your computer and having a coffee, as I am right now. Again, you know, beyond the Steam store page stuff in the video description below, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It helps out a great deal. And, of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.